Hi, on this video we are going to add a feature here to the user's manager page. So when the admin clicks on any email here, another page will appear and you can type through this page as a subject for the email and type a message and even format this message here by choosing the proper font like this one for example, and make some letters bold, and you can even view the source here, the HTML source, and then click the send button afterwards. Then after sending, when you check the email box by clicking here, you will get a nicely formatted email here that contains the website's logo and the receiver first name and last name. So let's go ahead and see how to do it. So the first thing I will do here is to install two new important plugins through the NuGet package manager. The first one is FancyBox, so just type FancyBox here. Okay, we got it. Now let's click here and install it on our project. It will take a time till it installs the full plugin. I accept. Okay, now you can notice here that inside the content folder a new folder has been added, which is the FancyBox, and also inside the scripts folder the jQuery plugin is installed as well. Let's also install another package called ckeditor. So click here and click on install. Okay, finished successfully. Now let's close this one. However, as an alternative way, you may also go to the Google and search for FancyBox, for example, and get the plugin from its website, and go for example here. So I can download it through this link, and if you scroll down you will find a download here link. So by clicking it you will download the folder. So after you download it, just copy the folder and paste it as it is inside the projects folder. It's not very necessary to paste the scripts inside the script folder and paste the CSS files inside the content folder. Just paste the folder inside the project folder. For example, for the ckeditor, you can also, if you type here ckeditor, by installing the ckeditor from the website, you will have the opportunity to customize how the ckeditor should look like inside your project. So by clicking the download, you can choose here among the templates which template you exactly want. So for example, you can choose this option, or let me customize the ckeditor, and click on customize and download, and you can choose how the icon should appear: basic or standard or full package of icons. So if you go for example for the standard, you can also choose a skin here. For example, you want to use comma, you click here. At least this scheme is full of colors. And you can also choose your language. For example, if you want only two languages, then select the two languages, English and Arabic, and then click on optimize. I agree, and then download it, and again paste the folder as it is inside the projects folder. Anyway, let's start our example here. So the first thing I will do here is going to the account folder and create a form through which I will send the email. So I will add a new item here, and this item will be a web form not depending on a master page, and I will give it the name of iframe, as this form will appear as an iframe underscore send email. Okay, now let's click on the add button, and this is the form. So I will go to Notepad here and copy a couple of styles here and paste them inside the body at the end. Okay, so it's just for formatting the table I'm going to add inside this form. I will go ahead here and install the ckeditor plugin inside this page by going to the scripts folder and find the ckeditor plugin. Then take a reference for the ckeditor.js and a reference also for the contents.css. And those are the two files required to run the ckeditor. I will also install the Bootstrap plugin. So let's go here to the contents and add the Bootstrap minified. Now let's delete the existing form here and let's copy this form here from Notepad and paste it here inside the body. Okay, now this form has only 3 text boxes: the text 2 and the text title and the multi-line text, which is a text message. So this one will display the username along with the email address, whereas this one is for the message title and the last one is for the message body. And there is a send button here. Now let's save all, rebuild our solution. This is our iframe and view in browser. Now in order for the ckeditor plugin to work on this message text box, the only thing you have to do is give the text box here a CSS class equals ckeditor, and that will be enough. We should also disable the text box here, as its only purpose is for displaying the user's info, not to enter it. I will add disabled equals disabled. Okay, let's see now how this will affect our page by refreshing. Yes, here we go. The plugin is now working and this text box is now disabled. However, I want this text box to appear in a white color instead of this dark gray color. Now let's go to the inspect element and let's see how to do that. If I set the background color to white, I think this will be enough. We misspelled something here. Okay, so let's go back here and let's add here a back color equals white. Now let's go to the users manager.aspx. So inside the users manager, I will install the FancyBox plugin. In order, when I click here on the email, I will get the iframe and be ready to send the email. Let's go to the users manager and then add a link for the FancyBox plugin. So the FancyBox plugin is located here, but however we want the CSS. So this one is the one that we want to import, jQuery.fancybox.css. So I will add a reference for this one and I will go to the FancyBox folder. Sorry, I will go to the scripts folder, the jQuery fancybox.js and jQuery fancybox back.js. So in order for the FancyBox plugin to work properly, you have to make a reference for those 3 files. Now let's see how the FancyBox is working with images first, because this is a basic usage for the FancyBox. So let's see how it would work with the images. We have an image here for the user's profile picture. In order for the FancyBox to work, let's wrap this image inside a hyperlink. So I will add here a hyperlink. Okay, run at server, and I will give it a CSS class called, for example, fancy image, or any class of your choice. I will type here the navigate URL will be equal to the same as the image URL. Okay, and let's close the tag here, and let's add the closing tag after the image. Okay, now let's save all and let's see how this will work without the FancyBox. So if we refresh the page here, then click on any user's profile picture, for example this one, you will be redirected to another page showing you the picture of this user. Now let's see what will happen if we use the FancyBox plugin with this hyperlink. If we go to the JS and usersmanager.js, which is plugged inside the usersmanager.aspx, after the DOM loaded, I will type here the element, all the elements which has the class name of fancy images, apply the plugin FancyBox with the default settings, and that's all. Let's save all, and let's click on refresh here. Okay, let's click here. Maybe we have a mistake here. So fancy images image, I think. Okay, let's refresh again. Now let's click here. Okay, and as a good practice for using this plugin, you may save two versions for each photo inside the server. One with a low resolution and the other one with a high resolution. Then set the image's URL inside the table to the low-res image, whereas set its wrapper hyperlink URL to the high-res image. So let's now do exactly the same thing with the email field. Instead of making the hyperlink blank like this, I will make its navigate URL referring to tilde iframe underscore email. So this is the iframe, send the email, and that would not be enough. I will type here the query string, so the user ID will be equal to the user ID of that record. So how can I get the user ID of that record? It's through the eval function. So I will cut this and I will type here eval of ID, which is the user ID. Okay, but I will enter the second argument for the eval, which is the format. I will make paste and type here curly bracket 0, which will be substituted with the ID on the runtime. I will also give this hyperlink a class called, for example, fancy mail, and I will also type here one new thing, which is data FancyBox dash type equals iframe, and this will incent the FancyBox plugin to open a window containing this page that I'm trying to open here. Then go to JavaScript and do exactly the same thing I did with the image before and paste. Now let's save all. Let's refresh our page. Okay, if we click here, for example, this is a form that will be open. So we exactly opened the previous page that we opened before, but inside an iframe with the aid of the FancyBox plugin. Now this page needs to be formatted because we want our FancyBox window to be limited to the size of the iframe here. So if you go here to our form and inspect it, our form has a width of 591 pixels. So in order to limit the iframe size to that size, I will go here and add a simple change and type here the width property of this FancyBox will be equal to 591 px. Now let's refresh. Okay, so now everything is working fine. Let's go to the code behind page for the iframe send email and press the F7 button, and on the page load I want the text2.text let's first define the user ID as string equals request dot query string user ID. Okay, now the text2.text will carry the user dot first name and the user dot second name plus the email address. So let's first here dim db as new application db context and dim my user equals db dot users dot single user function m, where m dot id equals user id. Okay, now text2.text will be my user dot first name and space and my user dot last name and bracket and my user dot email and closing bracket. Okay, now let's save all and rebuild our project, and let's here test our page. Okay, now the text2 got its text properly. So let's now, I just have a problem here with this space bar and the space should be here instead. Okay, now let's see what will happen if I send. Let's go to the button send the click event. Now I will dim the user ID again, and I will have to dim the manager as well. So in order to dim the manager, we will have to import two important things. So import Microsoft.ASP.NET.identity and Microsoft.ASP.NET.identity.Owen. Okay, now I will dim the manager. So dim manager equals context dot get Owen context dot get users manager of application users manager. Okay, now I will type here manager dot send email for whom, for the user ID and with a title has the same value as the text title dot text, and with a message body has a value text message dot text. Okay, and in order to be able to send an email, you should have first enter your SMTP client settings inside the identity-config.vb. To know how to set up the SMTP client, please watch the video number 5 inside this playlist video series. Now let's rebuild our project and let's test out what will happen here. So I will open the form again. Now I will type here test, for example, and here I will type my message, for example, dear member or dear customer, this is just a test message. Okay, and you can format whatever you want by making this one italic, for example, and this one as bold, and do any change here by changing the font, for example. Okay, if you want to see the exact HTML for what you have done, click on the source here. You will find that it added a span with the style font family and so on. Now let's copy this one because I know that the form now will raise an error, so let's copy it first and let's send. Now you will get an error message here, and the reason behind this error is that since our message body contains tags like paragraph tags and so on, ASP.NET will suspect that the source of these tags might be a malicious JavaScript code entered by a hacker. However, since I'm already comfortable with the fact that this page is exclusive for the administration usage and not allowed for the public, I will tell ASP.NET to allow those kind of tags to be sent to the server for this page only. So to achieve that, I will go to the page iframe send email and add something at the top called validate request equals false. So it will not validate the request. Now let's save all and let's try to do it again. Okay, the subject is test and let's type the email here. Now let's click on the send button. Now let's go to the email here and click on the inbox to see if I got any new emails. Okay, here we go. We got a message here. Now if I click the message, I will get the exact email here. So dear customer, this is just a test. However, this email doesn't look professional. And if somebody receives such an email from a respectful website, he might suspect that this is just a spam message sent by someone. So what we are about to do now is designing an email template represents our website with a logo and hyperlinks. And to achieve that, our plan will be to write the HTML code for that template inside a notepad document. Then save this document with the extension txt inside the models folder. Then instead of directly send the message body from the ckeditor text box, we will write a code to copy the template we have just created and make little changes by inserting the message's body, for example inside the template, then send it to the recipient. I have prepared this HTML code, and in order to test this HTML code, I will copy it and create a new file here which is HTML page. Give it the name, for example HTML test. Okay, then erase everything and paste our code here. So our code is just a table, and in the normal situations I never design my HTML pages layout using a table, as this is the old school way, as it makes the page hard to expand, which makes it not the proper solution for dynamic websites. So since the HTML you are about to send will be open inside another server which doesn't necessarily has a bootstrap plugin, for example, and since you don't have the chance to attach a CSS file with your mail, I found that the best way to control the email's template layout is by writing it inside the table and put any demanded styles in line inside the HTML tags. Let's now save all and let's test out this table. Let's view it in the browser. So this is our email here. This is an email template that we are going to send for all the users. And as you notice here, there is an image, there is a hyperlinks, and there is some text here inside the email which is surrounded with double hatches at the beginning and double hatches at the end. Those text snippets here will be replaced at the runtime according to the recipient data and the message title and body. And there is a restrict rule here which should be followed. Any image or hyperlink inside the page should refer to an absolute hyperlink. So for example, this one, if you inspect it, it's referring to an external hyperlink, starts with the HTTP column double slashes. If you right click this hyperlink here, it should also refer to an external hyperlink, because remember, this email message will be opened outside your website. And also the styles. So for example, this is a table, its style will be written inside the same tag of the table. You shouldn't refer, for example, to an external cascading style sheet, or even at the end of the document type the classes you are using here inside the mail message. So you will spend some time in order to design this HTML page, and once you become satisfied with the design, this HTML page will be useless. I will delete it. Now let's go to the models folder and let's add a new file here, and this file will be a text file. So if you don't find the text file here, you will go to the new item and go to the general and find the text file. and I will give this text file the name of email format. Click the add button. Now you have an empty text file, and paste the code here. Close it with saving. Our next step will be go to the iframe code behind page and write the following on the button send. So now I will define the new user, dem my user equal manager dot find by ID the user ID. Okay, and I will dem something called file path equals server dot map path, our text files that we have just created, tilde models slash email format dot txt, then dem message body as string equals file dot read all text. But in order to use the file, I will import the system dot input output. So equals file dot read all text. For which file? For the file path. Okay, now let's type message body equals message body dot replace text. Which text? As you know, first thing is the subject, so I will replace this word subject with the text title dot text. Okay, and message body equal message body dot replace, the second thing is the first name with the my user dot first name. So let's copy this line several times. So Control C, Control V. Now the last name with the my user dot last name, and the message itself with the text message dot text. Now messenger dot send email user ID text title dot text, then the message itself will be the message body. Now everything done. Let's rebuild our project. Okay, let's go here and let's copy this message. Open now again. Okay, the subject will be test and the message body will be like this. So I will click the send button. Okay, now it's finished. Let's go to our email box. Okay, here we go. We got an email here. Let's click OK. This is what we will get. This is a test, and this is hello, my name. Dear customer, this is just a test. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press like.